Welcome to Café of Delights, conversations that enlighten and inspire with me, your host, Gale West. We are at the precipice of one of the most exciting evolutions in human history, from science to spirituality, culture, arts, cutting-edge psychotherapies, new economies, and more. We will explore how to create a world where all can thrive. In a series of riveting interviews, you'll have the opportunity to hear from those that are actively working at the edges of local, regional, and global transformation. Join me, your host and author of the book Money Come Dance With Me, Gale West, to be inspired, delighted, and filled with hope for a new reality. Café of Delights starts now. Hello, and I'm Gale West, and I'm so excited to have Debra Poneman on my guest today on the Café of Delights. For over 4 decades, Debra Poneman, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and founder of Yes to Success seminars, has shared her system used by hundreds of thousands around the world to live not only success and abundance, but deep happiness and profound inner fulfillment. Debra's clients have used her formulas to become mega successful entrepreneurs, renowned transformational leaders, New York Times household bestsellers, authors, millionaires, billionaires, and even household names. Her corporate clients include Mattel Toys, the Xerox Management Group, and International Trade Management, among others. Debra has appeared in print throughout the country and on networks including ABC, NBC, Fox, and CNN. Debra is on the board of directors of several nonprofits, including Aid Still Required, with whom she does volunteer work, helping the people of Haiti receive education, healthcare, and vocational training, even during these trying times for the country. Welcome, Debra. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I am so excited to be here with you.
Hello. So, I ask everyone the same questions, and that is, what brings you hope and what delights you?
Oh my goodness. Now, true confessions, you gave me a heads up about that. And then I decided I wasn't going to think about it, that I was going to allow it to be spontaneous. And so what delights me? Well, I think just about everything delights me because I had my original spiritual teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He used to say this thing, the world is as we are. In other words, one person could see something and it could bring them, contraction, sadness. Another person could see something and it could bring them delight. And I just get delight about over almost anything. But if you ask me to drill down, I would say it's watching. Yeah, I know I sound very Pollyanna-ish, but it's watching other people being delighted. So, for example, I took my godson and his son, they live in Chicago, and they flew out, and I took them to Disneyland last weekend. And my biological son came with me. And anyway, in watching this little 6-year-old boy who had never been on an airplane, who had never been to anything like Disneyland before, just watching his face in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I mean, how can you not be delighted from watching something like that? And you mentioned that I work in Haiti. How can you not be delighted when somebody who has they're in their 50s and they don't even know how to sign their name, completely illiterate, and we teach them how to write, and then they write something. I remember one of them wrote in Creole, "I love you, Mrs. Debra." And the smile on their face from the pride of being able to write at the age of 50, how could that not delight you? So again, it sounds like, oh man, she's like a little Pollyanna, but have to tell you the truth. And what gives me hope is it's so interesting about how people my age and my generation, baby boomers, we look at the world and we think it's going to hell in a handbasket. We look at the world and we think it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But what gives me hope is that the kids, my children's age, like in their 20s and their 30s, at least the ones that I talk to, say to me when I talk about, what's wrong with the world and how different it is now than from what it was when I was their age, they're like, get a life, look at the good part. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I teach. But
Yeah,
they're telling me to look at what's good about the world. And that gives me hope.
that's great. So, just one moment. I have no idea why my battery is plugged in, why it's saying it's not plugged in. But I'm going to give you your next question while I figure this thing out. And that is, oh my God, I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to have you. And to the listeners, Gale and I knew each other decades ago, and we just bumped into each other
I
in
know.
LA at a Pachamama Alliance event, a fundraiser. And we're, don't I know you? Don't I know you?
Yes. We know each other. Hello.
Hello. It
And
was so
I moved from Illinois to Los Gatos, and you moved from Illinois to Ojai, right?
yeah, well, Marin and then to Ojai, but I went back to Marin for the fundraiser.
So ask me a little about what did your journey from full-time, I know you were a meditation teacher and I knew you back then, and then you started doing the success seminar company. Like, tell me a little bit
Yes.
about that.
Yes, so it is true. And I knew you back then. Actually, what I was doing in Chicago, I was hosting all of the saints as they were coming through Chicago. I hosted Karuna Mai, and I hosted Sriman, I hosted Sri Ravi Shankar, and I hosted, Cielo, and I know you'd been at my house for some of those events. And that was my life. And teaching meditation. I actually became a transcendental meditation teacher in 1972. So 51 years ago, I started teaching meditation. And at the end of the decade of the 70s, I was full-time teaching meditation. And also I was the director of admissions at Maharishi International University in Fairfield, Iowa. And at the end of the decade of the 70s, I realized that a woman does not live by mantra alone, and I had to make some money. so,
What a
so
hoot.
okay, what am I going to do to make some money so I could go back and teach meditation and work for the TM movement again full time? I thought, okay, how do people make money? And I thought they sell investments. So I picked up from my home in Fairfield, Iowa. I moved to Los Angeles and I started selling investments, and I was a dismal failure. But you know that expression, we make plans and God laughs. Well, God had a really big yuck at the thought of me coming to LA, making a lot of money, putting it all away so I could teach TM full time and not worry about money. God had other plans. One day, one of my colleagues at the investment company that I work for asked me if I wanted to go to a money seminar. And I thought, yes, maybe I'll do better at selling investments. Like I say, I didn't sell one except to my dear father. May he rest in peace. He felt sorry for me and bought an investment from me. But one of my colleagues asked me to go to a money seminar. I thought it was going to help me be better at what I was doing. And I walk in, and it was at the Learning Annex in LA. And it was, I mention that I moved to LA because I thought that was where all the rich people lived, and that would be where I would make a lot of money. So I moved to LA. I go to this event at the Learning Annex, and it's the New Age crowd. So this is 1980. I thought it was going to be the suits, it wasn't the suits. It was the New Age crowd. And the guy is talking about the law of attraction. I mean, this was, again, decades before The Secret made the law of attraction kind of a household concept. And he was saying that we are like tuning forks. And if a tuning fork is vibrating at an F sharp, and a B flat tuning fork comes towards it, it repels it. And he said, we're like tuning forks. If we're always talking about how poor we are, we'll never get out of debt, we'll never be successful, we'll never find our soulmates. That's how we vibrate. And then our soulmate could be in the vicinity, but we're repelling it, or him or her.
Right.
And there was, my shade just opened. So there's so many other things he said. He said, if you want to become wealthy and successful, what you need to do is help other people become wealthy and successful. And everything he said just went to the core of my being. And I went home and I told my then husband that I'm going to quit working at this financial company, and I'm going to put together my own success seminar, and I'm going to teach success around the world. And you know what? I did it. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that I teach that I learned, because what I did is I started studying the great masters of success and prosperity, like Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, I love Napoleon Hill. Yeah, right.
Love Napoleon Hill, Wallace Wattles,
Yes.
Florence Shinn,
Yep.
let's see who else, Catherine Ponder. And I just gobbled up all this stuff. And you know what? There was no internet. If I wanted articles by them, I had to go to the library and pick up the microfiche. Remember microfiche? That's how we had to get information back then. So I got all of this information and I put together a seminar. And here's the thing. What I learned from them is that an idea comes to you because it needs to be manifested through you. That's why we all have different ideas. I didn't have the idea to start a show called the Café of Delight. You did. The idea came to you because you were supposed to manifest it. Another person has the idea to open up a garden shop. Another person to be a leadership coach. Another person to be a relationship consultant, whatever. You have that idea because I believe that the creator whispers that idea in your ear at the time that it is needed on the planet for the planet to advance. Now, unfortunately, if you don't act on the idea because it is needed at that time, the creator is going to have to go to the
Someone else.
second stringer, right?
Yeah,
Someone else.
Right.
And how many people who are listening have had a great idea, didn't do anything about it, and then a year later, a couple years later, somebody is like a millionaire or best-selling author, and they're, hey, that was my idea. Yeah, but you didn't take action steps towards it. I'm going to say, give 2 other success principles that I think would be really useful to people. One is an idea comes to you because it's supposed to be manifested by you. The second is don't wait until everything is perfectly in place to begin, because, I'll do it when the kids, start school. I'll do it when the kids get out of school. I'll do it when the divorce money comes in. I'll do it when the inheritance, I'll do it when, and then you're lying on your deathbed and you never did it. There are never perfect circumstances. There always be loose ends because we live in a relative universe. You just have to take a step, right? And you just, because you can't steer a parked car, you get out of the driveway, right? And then you might have to course correct, but just get going, just get the momentum going. God supports those who support themselves. So get going. And then the creator sees, Gale or John or Joe or Frank or Diane, they're really serious about manifesting this. I'm going to support them. So if we want the support from these, all of the levels of creation, I believe our spirit guides and helpers, the ancestors, and the God of your understanding all wants to help you, the angels, the archangels. But if you don't take a step, and here's the other thing.
Yeah, it's important. That first step is important because you can't, a stone that's static isn't gonna, it's easier to move course correct a rolling stone than one that's static.
Absolutely. And then the last thing I'm going to say about this idea is when you have the idea, don't go around telling everybody what you're going to do. What is sacred must be kept secret. Don't tell anybody what you're going to do until you have significantly manifested your idea. Why? Because you might run up against the discouragement committee. And those are the people that are going to say, a podcast on leadership. Do you know there are already 100 podcasts on leadership? There are already 20 podcasts on happiness. And then you're like, oh God, you're right. And your precious idea gets crushed. Like when it's a tiny seed, it could be easily crushed. So you have to plant the seed, you nurture it, you watch it grow a little bit. Then when it's a strong plant that the discouragement committee cannot crush because you've made significant progress, then you could start telling people. Now, usually people say, oh, but I'm going to tell somebody because they're going to hold me accountable. No one's going to hold you accountable. My friend Janet Atwood, who I think you might know, she wrote the Passion Test. She and I would do this thing like, okay, we're going to eat healthy, and if we go off our diet, you have to give me $50. And so I go up the diet and she says, where are my $50? I'm not giving you $50. It's like, you are the only one who's going to hold you responsible. And you never know. Sometimes you share your idea with somebody who you think's going to be your cheerleader, and they're the discouragement committee. So just better to keep your idea safe and warm. And I did that when I started my idea and what's funny? I worked on my success seminar for months before I told anyone besides my husband, because, he was living with me. And then what I did to take a step from which there is no turning back, because I was kind of putting it off to like actually set up a Yes to Success seminar. So you have to take a step from which there's no turning back. And I went out and put up posters in Santa Monica, California, Deborah Olson, that was my name at the time, to give a seminar on success. And what's funny is that the discouragement committee did show up and said, oh, come on, nobody's going to believe a crazy idea like your thoughts create your reality. Remember, this was 1980. But the posters were already up. So I had to give the seminar, which I had set up at the Santa Monica Library. And when I walked in, there was standing room only. So I'm glad I didn't.
Whoa.
Before I put up the posters.
Oh my God. How cool is that? That's amazing. I think what you're saying is really profound, because so many people, I did a painting where I was painting the trauma in the collective, and there was like different parts that I was doing, and one of them was the ache in the heart of those dreams that were never fulfilled. And it is an ache. The books that were never written, the songs that were never played, the dreams that were never fulfilled. It's an ache in the heart. And when we go to our death and we go, I wish. So people ask us, why do you move to California? I've always wanted to live here because I can.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that, the ache in the heart of dreams. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm too old. I had this dream. You're not. You're never too old. If you have a dream, it was a gift to you from the Creator. So you're never too old. You're never too young. It's your gift. Just get going on it, and you'll see the results.
I think of the never too old thing. I think of Grandma Moses. She wanted to paint all her life. When her husband died at 83, she goes out to the local art store and buys some paints and goes to the back of her barn and starts painting, and has her first solo show at 93. Wow. And you're never too old to allow yourself to dream. And when you're talking about that idea, the dreams are precious. They're precious.
Absolutely.
And it's our heart that guides us to those dreams.
Absolutely. And follow those dreams like breadcrumbs.
Yeah. And most people don't. Yep. And they don't listen to the dreams. And then our heart aches.
Yeah. And again, not only do they not listen to their dreams, but if they tell people their dreams too soon, then
the smash committee comes.
The smash committee. But if you didn't manifest a dream, and you can still go back. If the smash committee, I had that idea 10 years ago and somebody told me blah blah. Okay, well, today's today, and you have the rest of your life ahead of you.
Right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm so excited to have Debra Poneman with me. We're going to come back, and you started doing the idea of, you gave up your career at the height of your success. I want to hear more about that. And when we come back to the Café of Delights, we're going to go even deeper into Debra's story. And it's interesting and it's fascinating. And it's riveting.
Thank you.
Imagine if you were truly flourishing, how would your financial expansion impact the world? Author of Money Come Dance With Me, Gale West is an internationally known speaker, creative catalyst, and business intuitive at Success with Soul. Work with Gale to create a new relationship with money as your friend. Link the soul of your business to the business of your soul with programs like Sacred Money Mastery, Akashic Records of the Soul, and more. To receive a healing money meditation, go to successwithsoul.com today.
Café of Delight, conversations that enlighten and inspire with me, your host, Gale West. Tune into transformationtalkradio.com every second and fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We are at the precipice of one of the most exciting evolutions in human history. On Café of Delights, you will hear from those that are actively working at the edges of local, regional, and global transformation. For more information on hope for a new reality, visit Gale West at successwithsoul.com. Hello, you are back at the Café of Delights with Gale West, your host, and I have Debra Poneman with me today, and we are live here in I'm in Los Gatos, and you are in LA, right? And we've been talking about how you had this idea of you went from being a meditation teacher to having an incredible, successful career. And I understand that you gave up your career at the height of your success. So, but tell me why. Like, what was that about?
Well, that was about, okay, I'm going to say it this way. A lot of people will say you gave up I was actually about to have my own daytime TV talk show. And because I was living in LA at the time and with a major producer, and I had written a Yes to Success book because my career really took off. I was in 12 countries on 9 continents, like decades before the internet made international communication instantaneous. And everything was just going swimmingly. And I got pregnant and I got deathly ill. And I was one of these women who lied in bed for like almost 9 months and I couldn't work at all. But my plan was to give birth and get back to following my passion of spreading the message of success throughout the world. However, the core of my teaching was to live true to yourself, to follow the impulses of truth that speak to you from your heart. I mean, with all the assuredness of an evangelical preacher, I had told the world that the basis of true success, the basis of greatness, was to listen to that inner voice that we so often ignore. And I taught that even if the impulses of your heart appear to be leading you in the opposite direction of your goals, if you want true happiness and real success, trust those impulses, follows those impulses. And on a fateful day in 1988, the impulses of my heart were saying it was time for my career to come to a screeching halt when the midwives handed me my baby girl. And shortly thereafter, I realized I did not want to go traveling around the world. I didn't want to leave that baby to go to the bathroom. So I made the fateful decision to become a full-time stay-at-home mom. And there I remained for 21 years.
Whoa, 21 years? Oh my God.
Yes, I hovered around them for 21 years.
How many
Even
kids?
they're like, okay, mom, we're 21 and 18 because I had my son a few years later. It's like, we could read Harry Potter to ourselves. You could go do something else. But I'll tell you, when I made that decision to stay home with the kids, there were people who were not happy with me. Like there was this guy, he's still a dear friend. His name is Chiang. True story. He called me when he heard that I had the baby, and he said, okay, I heard you had the baby. Let's get the tour of Southeast Asia on the books. He lived in Singapore at the time. And I said, Chiang, you're going to have to call me back in 18 years.
Oh my God.
And he remembers that. We always laugh about it, but it went by in a flash. I mean, I had people who had been waiting for me to just push that baby out and get back to work. And I was waiting for it too. So when I said to my own surprise, I have a new passion, my colleagues thought I had gone completely out of my mind, and they were exactly right. It's precisely what happened. And if you want to live true greatness, you also have to go out of your mind, because you have to move into your heart.
Yeah.
Many of us have had the feeling like your heart says, I should do this, and we don't. Or our heart says, I shouldn't do this, and you do it anyway. And let me ask you, Gale, when your heart says don't do it, but you do it anyway, how does that turn out?
Well, I usually apologize to my heart. and say, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. You were right. Because,
Right,
our heart is
that's true.
always chatting. And so when we don't listen to it, the volume goes down. So if
Oh,
I
yeah.
acknowledge it, then it keeps talking.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I'm writing that down. You apologize to your heart. I'm going to teach my students that and give you credit. That is so brilliant. But also, okay, how about on the other hand, that you would have feeling I should do this and you didn't, and you're still kicking yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, in all the years I've been teaching, I've had so many people say the same thing. Their heart says yes, they didn't follow it, they're still kicking themselves, but I have never, ever had one person say, I listened to my heart and darn, I regret it. Never. No one ever said that to me. Listening to your heart is the only way to live a great life. Your mind is cluttered with images from your childhood and your young adulthood, all of which tell you to beware, but your heart tells the truth, really, because every decision is just if you were in our minds, the decisions are filtered through all that clutter that was put in your mind by your parents and your teachers and the clergy and the media. So you try to make a decision, but it has to be filtered through all of that. But if you move from your mind into the actual heart space, you could even put your hand on your heart. It stimulates the feel-good hormone, oxytocin. And from there, you make the decision. And even ask your angels and your guides to help you make the decision. When you ask your angels, it's always out loud.
I have my hand on my heart.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and
from there,
yeah, and that place that says, and then going back to this idea of the ache in the heart, of the dreams that were never fulfilled, that's that place that when we don't listen, there's that ache, because our heart is our guide to our soul's desire. But so many people don't listen. I'm gonna cry because it's sad. It's really sad.
it's true. It is sad. And now people know that they could actually physically move your attention from your brain into the heart center. And from there, because the heart sees the truth. The heart connects. The heart sees what's the same about you and me, what's connected about you and me. But the mind sees the difference. The mind sees what's wrong. The mind, again, because it's cluttered with all that garbage
Yeah.
from years and years of the garbage being put in your head. And that's why I meditate, because one of the reasons, I taught TM for 23 years, and now I teach through the Art of Living Foundation. I teach Sahaj Samadhi meditation, but that's why I do it, is to get the clutter out. Twice a day, I do my meditation, gets the clutter out, so that now when I make the decisions, they're made in their purity, and all of that clutter it just leaves every day. The meditation allows more and more of that. Those in Sanskrit, it's called samskaras, impressions. Those samskaras can leave, and meditation is a great way to get them to leave.
And it's a way to clear karma also from our ancestors, because those are ancestral burdens that are attached to us and it helps them to clear.
Absolutely.
that.
And the field of epigenetics is now
Yeah, it's a big
proving
field.
through
Yeah,
science that we carry
right,
the burden of our ancestors in our
right,
DNA.
right,
And
right.
it's also proven that meditation, some forms of breath work, which I also do from the Art of Living Foundation, that those forms of breath work actually have an impact on our DNA, actually get rid of those impressions.
So one of the things that I talk about is that that we need to redefine our current definition of success, from consumption and status, and to walking our path with soul and delight. And this is what you teach is so profound, because it's our current definition is basically killing the planet. It creates all this inequity, which is so sad, and recognizing that we're all connected. When we realize that we caring for others, caring for ourselves, walking from the heart, that's never going to lead us to places that are unkind, where we're hurting others, where we're Yeah. Yes. Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. And something just occurred to me that I wanna share. People often say to me, "Oh my gosh, it was so brave of you to, give up this career," which really was exploding. I mean, I was on talk shows all over the country. Like I say, I had reps all over the world. I was really at the top of my game. My book was in the hands of a top publisher, a top agent who was in conversations with publishers in New York. But people say, did I ever regret my decision? And the truth is that, of course I did. There were times when my friends are on the New York Times bestseller list and I'm home knee deep in dirty diapers. It's like,
Yeah.
and they're at these fancy launch parties for their books with the brie with the little, honey and walnuts on top. And
And
I'm
the
a
fig jelly.
and I'm a Chuck E. Cheese, eating a cardboard pizza. Like, yeah, but can I share with your audience a
Of course.
story? Okay, so I just feel like someone needs to hear this one, so I'm going to share it. Like, again, as I say, people ask me if I ever doubted my decision, not regret, because I don't think I ever regret it, but of course I had doubts.
Yeah, I can
That,
imagine.
the aforementioned scenario,
Yeah.
me at Chuck E. Cheese. But I remember one day when my kids, my daughter was probably 5 and my son was still in diapers, so he must have been maybe 2. And it was one of those days where nothing was making them happy. I said, "Okay, I'm putting you in front of the TV," which I didn't usually do. They wanted to watch Barney, that big purple dinosaur thing. So I'm doing a channel check for Barney. I'm telling you, Gail, this is a true story. And we had a dial. As I'm turning the dial, I see Oprah. And there on Oprah is one of my students. And my student is teaching Oprah this. It's a kind of a way to show the power of your mind. And I cognized it in a meditation. Okay, this is how I'll show people how powerful their minds are. And I don't blame him, for showing it to Oprah, even though Oprah is like, "Oh my God, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. My mind," because it shows you how your mind can move matter. So he's getting Oprah, flipping out over this thing. I'm getting these 2 whiny kids on the couch, and I'm like, "What did I do? Where did I go wrong?"
This is something that you taught him?
Yes. That
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh,
right, right. So, and I
did
don't
he ever give you credit?
no, but
Of
I
course
just
not.
I have to say in his defense, when I left to raise my kids, I said to all my students, "Take my stuff, teach it. The world needs it. You don't have to give me credit."
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, so it was fine. It was absolutely fine because it's in subsequent years when I tell the story, people go, "I saw that Oprah show. It changed my life. That was when I went on the path, knowing how powerful my mind is to create my reality." So I just want to say, God bless him for doing that. He did nothing wrong. I told him. However, I'm standing in front of the TV. Oprah's freaking out over this, and I burst into tears. So I am sobbing in front of the TV. My kids are whining on the couch. It was like one of those scenes. But actually they stopped whining because they were so in shock. One minute I'm looking for Barney, the next minute I'm standing in front of the TV sobbing. And the only thing that got me out of my self-imposed pity party, true story, my daughter goes, "Mommy," I go, "Yes, sweetie." She goes, "I think you forgot our popsicles." I'm like, "Okay, baby, I did forget your popsicles." And so I found Barney. I went into the kitchen and I am pouring the orange juice into into those molds because I used to make them orange juice popsicles. And I was mad at God. I like, "Oh, I am so mad at you. And tell me why this is happening." And then I hear this voice of God, which is just a little impulse. It's not like Charlton Heston and the 10 Commandments, like, "Deborah." It's just, when I say the voice of God, it's just a little impulse. And that impulse said, "Remember the book." And I'm like, "I am remembering the book. It was in the hands of a New York Times, agent, a New York agent, blah, blah." And then God said to me, "No, not that book." And I remembered this book that I had read a few years before, and it was about this guy who died. And while he was on the other side, he had this experience. He went through the tunnel of light, of darkness. At the end of the tunnel, there was a being of light waiting for him, because he came back. He wrote this book, and he said the being of light said to him, do you want to see a movie reel of the highlights of your life? And he said, yes, I do. And it was a very short reel. It showed him dancing with his daughter at her wedding, showing his son how to swing a baseball bat. And he says to the being of light, well, what about the time I brought my company public? What about the time that I made my first million? What about the time when I opened up the factories in Japan? And the being of light on the other side said to him, all of those moments glorified you. And then the being of light said, would you like to see the life of somebody else who just passed on? And Dignity goes, yes, I would. And in this book, it said a curtain of golden light parted, and there sitting on a throne of golden light was the woman who used to clean his house. So it would take 2 or 3 buses just to come.
Whoa.
And then the being of light said, you used to think of her, and she was surrounded by a host of angels. And he said, you used to think of her as such a poor, kind of pathetic creature. He said, but she had a glorious life. And then the being of light said, and then what he did, he said, in that movie reel of that woman's life, he said, would you like to see the movie reel of her life? And it was filled with, her carrying a pot of soup to a sick friend, her comforting a child who had been bullied, her stroking her mother's hair and holding her hand as she's making her transition.
Oh my God.
Like cheering at a baseball game when the other parents couldn't be there to cheer their kids on, and her just going to church and hugging everyone up and saying, how you doing today? And then the being of light said, when you arrive on this side, you discover that the most important thing when you're on earth, one thing, how much love you give.
Yeah.
And me, I went, put those popsicles in the freezer, went back, sat down in between my 2 precious angels, and put away the books by Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles and Florentian, and just surrendered for the next 18 years after that to learning from my 2 greatest teachers. And those are the 2 teachers that call me mom.
Wow. 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 That's so powerful. I'm speechless and touched, and I have tears in my eyes, and wow, that's thank you. Thank you for that story. Thank you. I think all the audience is going to rethink a lot of their choices.
And it's not so much that everyone should be a mom at home. Not that.
No, it's not about that. It's about love.
It's about love, because, our sons and daughters love to see us be successful. My kids certainly do, but it's about how much love you give.
Yeah. And on that note, we're going to take a break. I have with me Debra Poneman, who's been so inspiring. I'm crying. And when we come back, she'll tell us more about her life and her work of love in Haiti, which I can't wait to hear about. And this is the Café of Delights, and I'm your host, Gale West.
Imagine if you were truly flourishing, how would your financial expansion impact the world? Author of Money Come Dance With Me, Gale West is an internationally known speaker, creative catalyst, and business intuitive at Success with Soul. Work with Gale to create a new relationship with money as your friend. Link the soul of your business to the business of your soul with programs like Sacred Money Mastery, Akashic Records of the Soul, and more. To receive a healing money meditation, go to successwithsoul.com today.
Café of Delight, conversations that enlighten and inspire with me, your host, Gale West. Tune into transformationtalkradio.com every second and fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We are at the precipice of one of the most exciting evolutions in human history. On Café of Delights, you will hear from those that are actively working at the edges of local, regional, and global transformation. For more information on hope for a new reality, visit Gale West at successwithsoul.com. Hello, we're back. This is Gale West, and you are on the Cafe of Delights. And I have with me Debra Poneman, who's just this amazing woman. We've been talking about love, the power of love, about success, the power of our thoughts, and many, many other things. And I'd like to go into a little bit more about your story of coming back and also your nonprofit work. And
Yeah,
yeah, so,
thank you.
and
I-
before we do, how do people get a hold of you? What is your website? Yeah,
Yes, thank you for asking. It's the name of my company, which is Yes to Success, YESTO Success, Yes to Success. And I have a free ebook. I think I have a couple of free ebooks because I also teach a anti-aging course, my ageless free ebook and my success free ebook, and all kinds of things are on that website. So that's
okay.
free.
And that's yes2success.com.
Yes.
Okay. And if people will want to work with you, how do they just just
Yeah, well, I teach two courses. I teach a course called Yes to Success,
okay.
and I also teach a course called Ageless. And though I don't do, I only do private work in corporations, go into corporations and teach um, job performance, which is part of, believe it or not, the Ageless company. But it's all there. It's pretty
Okay.
clear. If they want to contact me, there's a place on the website.
Okay.
They just put its contact and then and it goes right to me. I get everything. So
Okay, so coming back, you came back and now you're doing a lot of this nonprofit work. Let's kind of go more into that.
yeah. Well, one other thing, I always have these like little downloads that pop into my mind. I just want to speak to whoever it is who is listening, who needs to hear this, that you have a big dream and you hear what I'm saying, that the dream came to you because you're the one that's supposed to manifest it, and you're willing to to keep it secret. Sacred and secret come from the same root, so you're not going to share it with anybody until you manifest it, but you're afraid. And I remember the great Lisa Nichols once saying, you will be afraid when you take a leap, but it's not because it's the wrong dream if you're afraid. It's because it's the right dream if you're afraid. That's where most people get stopped, but your dreams have to be bigger than you. Do you see it? When you're not afraid, when you're afraid, that's like, okay, now you're going to do the big thing that you were put here to do. Lisa shares an amazing story about Martin Luther King and how his mission was so big and he was so afraid, and how God spoke to him in his heart and said, I will give you everything you need. March on, Martin. And he did, because he was more committed to his divine assignment than he was to his fear.
Yeah.
So you just have to say to that fear, I got this from Lisa, you have no power over my life. I am the designer of my destiny, not you.
Well, thinking about it, you need courage. Without fear, why would you need courage?
Yes.
And
that's
yeah. So, and you're right. When it's bigger than we think we can handle, we need courage.
And if you think I can't do this, you're actually right, but you're not doing it. There's a higher power, the higher power that gave you the idea, that needs you to manifest that idea, or you wouldn't have been given the idea. There's a higher power that's working through you. And if your dream burns in your heart, that's because you're supposed to move on it. And you will never be given an assignment by the creator without being given everything you need to fulfill the assignment. The creator isn't a trickster. The creator doesn't say, okay, here's your assignment, but ha, 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 I'm not going to give you what you need to fulfill it. No, that isn't how the universe works. We live in a benevolent universe. So move quickly enough to keep your momentum going, but slowly enough to hear the guidance of your inner voice that will always be speaking to you along the way.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I needed to add that. And now I get to talk about Haiti, yes?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I work for a nonprofit. called Aid Still Required. And the reason why this is so appropriate to, my topic today is supposed to be how to live true greatness. And the way to live true greatness is by giving. The way to be successful is by giving. The way to be prosperous is by giving. Now, I know that the doubters, I know people, but they overgive. Don't worry about them. Worry about you. Okay. And if you are overgiving, you might have to reel it in, but you know the difference. Overgiving is being a doormat. Nobody should be a doormat. Everybody should learn how to say no, and start with baby steps. If you're not good at saying no, say no to the person who asks you if you want a sample of their perfume when you're walking through the department store. I'm sure it's lovely, but no, thank you. Ooh, build up that saying no muscle. Or, you get a solicitor on the phone and say, I'm sure what you have to offer is wonderful. Thank you so much. I know it's really hard to be calling and probably people hang up on you. You sound like a lovely person, but not right now. Yeah. Okay, exercise your no muscle. All right. But giving is a completely different thing. It is stepping outside your comfort zone and doing something for others that might not be rewarding on the surface. Let me tell you what I mean. A lot of people, what they do is they give money. Okay. In the Bible, it says, do not your alms before men to be seen of them. Then I say to you, you have your reward. In other words, if you give money and then your name goes on a plaque and then you get to go to the luncheon and everybody claps for you or whatever, and that's not right. Then you have your reward because everybody claps for you, right? And right. Your name is in the book and whatever. But in the Bible, it says, do not let your left hand know what your right hand doeth, so that your alms may be in secret. So God in heaven will give you your rewards, pressed down and overflowing, just by the way. Okay. So sometimes I hesitate to talk about my work in Haiti because I don't want everybody to go, oh, Debra, you're so wonderful. But truly, when do we feel happy? I do it because it makes me happy. The bonus is that I help the people in Haiti, right? When you don't fool yourself, when you're at a soup kitchen and you're ladling out the soup, who's feeling good? You're feeling good about yourself. Okay. But if you go and you tell everybody who will listen to you about how you work in the soup kitchen, then you have your reward. Don't wait for your reward from your Father who is in heaven. Is this making sense?
Totally.
Yeah. So I go to Haiti because even though it's 100 degrees in the shade with 100% humidity and no air conditioning, it makes me happy. It makes me happy, as I said at the very beginning of this conversation we're having, when somebody who has been illiterate for their entire lives signs their name or, writes me a little card. I love you, I love you, Mrs. Debra, and signs their name. I mean, how much happier can a person be when you see that your work is doing this?
So how did you get involved with it? So did you start the organization? Did you get it? So I know we were talking about how after it was an earthquake, right? Or
yes.
After the earthquake, all this money came in from Red Cross, and then they left, and everybody's still has no food, and it's horrific down there.
Right. So the nonprofit Aid Still Required was actually formed after the tsunami in Southeast Asia, because what happened was that after all of the aid organizations were there, helping the tsunami victims, and then when the cameras stopped rolling, just so you know, God bless the Red Cross, whatever, but they leave. And the reason why the organization is called Aid Still Required is because that's when the real work starts. Yeah. These people don't have homes. Their crops have been destroyed. Their livelihoods have been destroyed. Same thing in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, right. Still, the people in the poorest precincts and the poorest, I can't remember, they call them something else, the various areas, there's still rubble on the streets in the poorest areas. And I mean, the wealthy areas, those were, taken care of right away. And in Haiti, after the earthquake, which was now 12 years ago, again, I'm not going to name the names because I don't want to put them down, but they're the big organizations where the presidents and the CEOs get $1 million salaries, and God bless them for the work that they do. But literally, the aforementioned organization, which you said, raised hundreds of millions of dollars, billions, I think, after the earthquake in Haiti, and they built 6 houses. It was documented. There were a lot of there was a lot of articles written about it, but aid was still required. And that's when we move in. After natural disasters, let the Red Cross and whoever else, they can do their thing. When they pick up and leave, we build schools, we provide healthcare, we do literacy training, we do vocational training, we do all of those things for years and years and years to help people get back on their feet and to get their life back in order. And so we still are going to Haiti. There's still people, because there continues to be natural disasters in Haiti and man-made. Like right now, there is no government and there are gangs ruling the street, and there's kidnappings and rapes and murders, and it's a horrific situation. And we actually teach stress release programs. I'm a meditation teacher. I've taught meditation down there to hundreds of Haitians, and it's the only relief they get from the horrific, from the horrors that are just all around them, everywhere they look. And yet they have that 20 minutes or 30 minutes, as long as they want to meditate, where they can go in and feel some peace. We teach yoga, we teach breath, and you might think that's, superfluous in their situation. No, they thank us with tears in their eyes, because it gives them moments of peace. But we also give them waka lamps so that they don't get raped, because there's no electricity in the areas where we work, in the villages where we work. So 60% of the women had been sexually molested while they go out to pee behind their houses at night. But now we got them lamps, so they carry them out, and the incidence of rapes has gone down below 20%. So anyway, that is the work that Aid Still Required does in Haiti, and donations are always needed. We have a very, very small budget, and every single penny goes to the work that we do in Haiti, and we take no salaries. We even pay our own plane fares, our own hotel when we stay in Haiti. So great.
We only have a few minutes left, and so your company's Yes to Success, and you've got a couple of programs that people can get involved in. And how do so if they want to donate to your organization in Haiti, what is that website? And if they want to get more involved, how do they do that? Because I'm sure people are touched by your story.
Yeah, well, it's the website, Aid Still Required.
Is that .org?
.org, yes. .org. And all of the information is there. The website's good. I think I explained the story a little bit better than is told on the website. But if people want to donate, it's there. And there's so much more. I know we only have a few minutes left, but I also want to say, if anybody has any contacts in Haiti, we also rescue orphans. I can go on and tell you about how some organization in the US, they give money, but they don't go down and see what's actually going on. All of the people, we have 72 full-time employees in Haiti. And because we employ teachers and administrators and healthcare professionals and nurses and social workers, and we don't, so all of the money goes to support people in Haiti, where the economy is so crumbling that there's no words for it. So that's how you can support us.
Okay, so donate as much as you can to aidstillrequired.org, excuse me. And we're so excited to have, thank you for your wisdom, what you do and who you are. Deborah. I'm so touched and I'm so happy to have you here. And yeah. So,
Well, thank you for inviting me.
yes. So I'm Gale West and you are on the Café of Delights, the second and fourth Thursday of every month. This has been live. A lot of them are pre-recorded at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. And thank you so much, Deborah. And
love to everyone.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Café of Delights, conversations that enlighten and inspire with me, your host, Gale West. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com for a series of riveting interviews from those who are actively working at the edges of local, regional, and global transformation. From science to spirituality, culture, arts, and new economies, and more, we will explore how to create a world where all can thrive. For more information on hope for a new reality, visit me, Gale West, at successwithsoul.com.